Uh, uh, Hello? Hello, hello. Can I be heard? Am I heard? I've been running for 5 minutes now. Holy moly. Let's move to the games. Yes? There. Why is my chat not appearing in my thing? Oh, there it is. Hi, guys. Today we are playing Our Life. We're continuing where we left off from last week's stream. And I should do a recap for the new people who are just joining in stream. But we are currently playing through the Baxter DLC of the game. Load. I'm out getting lunch. What's up? You're out getting lunch at this time? What the? Hello, Shadow Milk. Hello, hello. Hi, A4. Welcome in, everyone. Wait, hold on. I should. There. I think should be good. Yeah. All right. To recap, everyone, this DLC we are now on the epilogue part, so it's about maybe about 2 more streams until we complete the epilogue. But yeah, currently, from last stream, we were helping out with planning a wedding that was due to happen in like 3 days. So, um, at that point, last stream, we were already wrapping up the party planning committee and gearing up to the actual day of the wedding. But as it turns out, one of the people getting married was not happy with the wedding cake that they got because they had to put in a rush order. They had to get a wedding cake done within 3 days. So they had to do a lot of compromises to just make to get like a generic cake out. But that wasn't really what they wanted. So the wedding planner, the character that we are going to be romancing in this epilogue, suggested that he would make another cake on the night before the wedding. So we went and helped the wedding planner out with making that cake, and now it is the next day. It is the wedding day. We're currently we had to sleep at his house, at the wedding planner's house. We had to sleep at the wedding planner's house. Hello, you. Welcome in. Hi. But yeah, currently we are just now waking up in the guest room of said wedding planner's house. And that is where we have left off from last week's stream. And now we are going to be heading into the actual wedding proper, where all of the party planning has culminated into a wonderful ceremony of union between two wonderful people. All right, where is the game? It's missing. Okay, there, found it. Right. So if you guys want to catch up on the previous stuff that we went through for this game, for this DLC, I have a playlist of it available in YouTube. It's called the Baxter DLC. Our Life Baxter DLC. There's a total of, I think, what part is this now? This is part 9. Wait, is that accurate? I think I forgot to change the part numbers, but this is we're currently at part 9. I think we're going to finish up within two more streams, I guess. One or two more streams after this one. I feel like this is an arc of an anime. Yeah, it is. Well, we're reading through a whole story, so 23. It's part 9. We're currently at part 9. All right. Where am I? Okay. So this line, we are now just waking up in the guest room of the apartment of the wedding planner. Sitting up in bed, bleary eyed and yawning, you could see that it was a beautiful day. The sky was a pristine blue, the tops of the nearby buildings were gilded in the morning sun. You dressed and ambled out into the living room, sleepily wondering what Baxter might have in the way of breakfast. It that was until you were confronted with something that chased all thought of food from your head. From down the hallway came a sort of clattering, thumping noise. Every so often you could make out a muttered curse and the sound of someone moving about. The door to the master bedroom was ajar, though you couldn't make anything out through the crack. The commotion was coming from inside. Was Baxter okay? Was happening in his room? I got a clip. Oh my god, I'll check that later. Was Baxter okay? Oh man, hold on. I hope I hope Neil can catch the stream because he's been looking forward to this since the last stream. Neil, if you're out there, catch up. There's a surprise for you. Oh wait, I have to actually prepare for it because I have played this epilogue before and I know what happens next, but there are some stuff that I'm doing differently for this run that I don't know what happens. So I'm going to have to wait. I have to prepare. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Uh, okay, okay. Let me put the little my little dog here. One Mori. Okay. We gotta ping him in the Discord server. There's already live alerts on the Discord. What does the cookies mean? Oh, right. I have yet to explain this, but there are commands available. I have a bot that picks up commands in chat, and it lets you bonk or pat me. If you write exclamation point bonk, BONK, you can you can bonk me. And then if you write in chat exclamation point pat, PAT, you can get a hand to pat my head. Mods, show him an example. Yippee! You gotta wait for every command to ow to finish before it runs. Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing that you can do. Oh, okay, there. Yeah. All of my no, all of my commands are working, I think. Yeah, they're running. But yeah, these cost cookies. Oh no, not cookies. These cost candy stars that you get um while watching the stream. This is similar to Twitch channel points, but it's for YouTube chat as well. Candy stars. And you can get like currency. Oh wait, is that wrong? Is it star candy? No, it's candy stars. There we go. Yeah, I have the maximum amount of candy stars. Why do you call them cookies then? The candy stars are different from the cookies. The cookies are basically a counter for how many times you visited the stream or for how many streams you've watched and said hi in chat. That's usually the counter. There are some people here in chat. No, not in chat, but my regulars. Some have reached like 50 cookies, 20 cookies. That that is the equivalent of like 20 streams watched, 50 streams watched, stuff like that. The cookies are the check-in counter, the login bonuses. And then the candy stars are what you use to execute commands like the bonks and pats. Streaks, yeah. Well, you don't really lose the streak. I'll try the pat then. Yeah, try it out. Exclamation point pat. Then you can head pat me. Thank you for the head pats. Alright, continuing on, let's figure out what's happening with Baxter in his room. You approach the door, curious as to what the commotion was about. The ruckus intensified as you got closer. It sounded as though California was experiencing a miniature earthquake localized entirely in the back corner of one 11th floor apartment, which was in the process of appending his belongings. At the Mori, yeah. You caught another snatch of Baxter's voice. There was a groan of frustration, and he muttered an expression that you could have sworn was clucking bell, or at least something very much like it. Baxter? You called tentatively through the crack in the door, but there was no response. You tried again. Peering into the room, you could see an untidy mess of pants and shoes and other articles of clothing littering the floor. I am concerned. Why do you need to prepare the one, Mori? I don't know, man. Your attention was drawn to the far wall past the chaos, where an assortment of knickknacks were arranged on two sets of shelves. You spotted a familiar driftwood statue among them. a shock of recognition. A shock of recognition came as a tingling across your scalp. He kept it. The souvenir you'd got for him years ago. Yes, back when he visited our town, we got him a little driftwood souvenir when we were showing him around. He kept the souvenir. You'd been convinced he would have tossed the thing out or in the back of a drawer. The fact that he'd instead held onto it made you feel a complicated mix of emotions. It was as sad as it was touching. Now was not the time to unpack it, however. In that moment, you'd wanted to see the man himself, but no matter how you tried, you couldn't catch a sight of Baxter from out in the hallway. Desperate times called for desperate measures. You pushed the door open, stepping a short way inside. On the same side of the room as the entrance, you discovered the opening to a walk in closet, and at the far end of the closet, it took you a second to realize what you were looking at. There was Baxter. There was Baxter Ward in the flesh. The flesh, and almost nothing else. He happened to be rummaging through his collected wardrobe while wearing only boxers and a pair of shorts. He'd been facing away initially, showing his exposed back. Oh, that's why I needed to prepare the one Mori. That's why I needed to prepare it. His pasty asses. We're not showing that on a public broadcast yet. I had to do a censor too when we were playing through the beach episode with Baxter. And then he turned and you were greeted with a full view of his naked torso. When your brain caught up with what was going on, you couldn't stop yourself letting out a little snort of amazement. Baxter didn't startle, having caught sight of you in the corner of his peripheral vision. Hello, Mori. Terrible morning, isn't it? He was wow. Oh, kinda underwhelming. It's kinda unexpected, but alright. Hello, James McCracken. Welcome in. Hi. You caught me at a very autumn boxers time of my life. Good grief, he's naked. Yeah. Sorry, chat. You caught us at a very boxers time of our life. You waved your hand in greeting. Sure, terrible morning it is. I don't know, it seems like a pretty good one. You aren't easily embarrassed, huh? Cute underwear. Morning. Scene left you speechless. we gotta do this. I think. Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Yeah, I think this one. Cute was putting it mildly. Those things were. Oh wait, no, no. I mean that as a tease. What? Call his boxers out. But the preceding lines are saying it's charming. No, no. I'm saying that. Wow, that's your choice of underwear. Okay, sure. You aren't easily embarrassed, huh? Terrible morning it is. Wonderful. We agree. Why are you swearing? I'm not. I'm not against swearing. Your opinion, James? You could have said something else instead of swearing. What do you mean? I've never seen this game though. Oh my gosh. No! Wait! Why? Oh, it's because I moved the. Hold on, hold on. I moved my dog here. Hold on, hold on, hold on. My dog here. There. Now it's the actual full thing, including the head pats. Ouch! Ow! Thank you for the head pats. He's too nude, but if that's the game, maybe there's an option for a sensor on something. No, there isn't. It's not really. It's not really that kind of game. It's just there are sprites that get them like topless. Yeah. Okay, there. He's gone now. Yeah, it's very it's a very brief moment. Not something that the story revolves around. Baxter spun on his feet and resumed his work without explanation. Okay, so we can hide the one more, you know. So are things okay here? Or things are okay in here? Baxter gave a terse sigh, his fingers continuing to comb through his collection of shirts and jackets. They could be better, let's put it that way. Whoa! Why'd he come back? I'm sorry my room is in such a state. You've caught me with my pants down, in more ways than one. I simply can't find my work uniform. It's not an official matter, but there's a particular shirt I always like to wear when on duty at weddings, to help identify me as staff, you see. But it's missing. What I should have done was taken the time to set my clothes last night. Unfortunately, I was distracted with baking and frosting and a new guest in my home. His features took on a pinched, agitated quality, his eyes darting distractedly about the room. Either way, I have to hunt it down, or we're going to be late. A faint edge of panic began to creep in his voice, and he started to append the closet with an increased urgency. You conned me into thinking you've got better with mornings. There's something I can do to help? Extremely very not good. Can't believe you conned me into thinking you've got better with mornings. Baxter let out a short bark of a laugh, catching himself by surprise. It was never intentional, I promise. You overestimate me. I've always loathed the early hours of the day. I merely learned to channel that hatred more productively. Is he the kind of guy to wear shirt first before pants? I don't know. This guy's shameless. He's walking around. Well, this is his room. He's walking around in his boxers. And I have to put my dog in here to hide him. He got that dog on him. Hold on. Let me hydrate. This isn't Battle Cats. No, there's no cats in sight here. There always seems to be something waiting to go wrong. Baxter grumbled as he relentlessly sifted through the closet, as much to himself as to anyone else. He wondered if he had a habit of thinking aloud even when he was alone. Wait, no, I clicked something. Hold on. Let me bring up chat again. There we go. Part of the tragedy of adult life is learning to roll with the punches, so to speak. I suppose I should be proud of the fact that I can at least handle it much better than when I was younger. Thinking about what kind of panic a younger Baxter would have been thrown into at the prospect of missing a shirt on an important day, he made a comical sputter of disgust, like he was experiencing a full body shiver. You smiled, recalling the first time you'd ever interacted with Baxter this early in the day. It had left such a strong impression you doubted you'd ever forget. He'd been so flustered. It was like you stumbled across a whole different person, wearing Baxter's pajama and face. Nothing like the man you now knew, who was frustrated, sure, but still managed to approach the situation without letting it crush him, even in just his boxers. Your brain couldn't help but remind you of a strange coincidence. That Baxter almost undressed in front of you on that other occasion 5 years ago. He is currently not dressed in front of us right now. there was there was no almost about the present situation. Aha! There was a sudden shout of euphoria from the back of the closet, jolting you out of your train of thought. Baxter stumbled back into the room, a black button down clutched victoriously in one hand. Hallelujah, I found it. Finally. A close call if I ever had one. I appreciate you coming to lend your support, Mori. If you don't mind giving me a minute, I'll be dressed and with you shortly. Although, he gave a small giggle, looking down at himself. Since you've already seen me like this, it doesn't make much sense that the time you need to leave is. It doesn't make much sense that the time you need to leave is while I put my clothes on. But still, I'm sure you've got better things to do with than watch the cleanup of a train wreck. Yeah, I'll go get the cake out of the fridge. I'm not busy. I'll go get some water. I'll go check. I have I have my stuff together. Seeing the cleanup sounds like fun. Oh, what kind of choice was that? Oh, oh. I'll go get the cake out of the fridge. Now that is a plan. I'll see you in a bit then. Alright! No more need for one, Mori. Back to the depths you go, my little dog. Why do I feel like something bad about to happen later? No, there's nothing bad. There's no bad endings in this game. Don't worry, guys. You don't have to worry. You left him to get You left him to get decent, heading down the hall and into the kitchen. You brought the cake out with careful fingers and set it on the counter. After that, you sat down in the living room to wait. It wasn't long until Baxter appeared. You were gazing out a window when you heard the click of shoes on the hard floor, followed shortly after by the man himself, sauntering into view. He was smartly dressed in black from top to tail. His slacks were crisp and pressed, his shoes polished, and, miraculously, his shirt seemed to have survived the ordeal without getting creased. He took a cursory glance over to the marble counter, spying the finished cake. Excellent. Thank you for taking care of that. If there's nothing else to attend to, we should get on our way. You readily agreed, picking up your bag and joining him by the front door. A short trip down the elevator, and both you and the cake were safely bundled into Baxter's car. He pulled out of his parking space and set a course for the suburbs once more. It was still early, and the air crisp as it was still early, the air crisp as it wafted through the rolled windows. Baxter leant one arm on his door, cool and casual. Since we're keeping our creation a surprise, I'll take it to the venue. So don't worry about leaving it here. I'll hop out with you to say hello to the betrothed, though. Now, as far as what happens next, I thought we could... And then we discussed the rest of the wedding plans. The pair of you naturally waded into a discussion on the minutiae of the wedding plan. You'd already been over most of it, but it was confidence-boosting to have it laid out one more time. As Baxter described it to you once, weddings and similar occasions were kind of a ritual. You supposed that obsessing over the little details was a crucial part of another kind of ritual. Surprisingly, you had begun to feel almost like Baxter's colleague, a fellow planner endeavoring to bring this event to fruition. You'd certainly put in the work by this point. Yeah, even though we came late to the party planning, we put in as much work as the rest of them. The conversation didn't stop at your own responsibilities for the day. Baxter reiterated that he, together with Terry, Miranda, and the other members of Jude's family, would be decorating the wedding hall over the course of the morning. The marriage would be conducted in the late afternoon, with a sit-down dinner reception in the evening, so there was still plenty of time to prepare. This detour back to Scott and Jude's was for you to change into your outfit. You couldn't exactly come to their big day in the casual clothes you'd slept in the previous night. You'd regroup with the rest of the crew after freshening up. Even though Jude at least knew the reason for it, your cheeks got heated at the prospect of showing back up with Baxter after spending the night at his place. Oh man, how do we make the excuse up? What kind of bullshit are we going to tell everyone now? It felt so scandalous. Mr. Ward didn't give the same impression as Terry or Cove, or any of the other men you knew, really. Crashing with them was totally cool. No questions to be had. But Baxter? Someone both suggestive and inaccessible. Staying at his apartment would raise eyebrows. I fell in a dumpster. No! Bonsai. Hello, L! Welcome in! Hi! We're currently heading back to our the place we're staying at. And that was without mentioning the fashion in which your morning had started. It was too late to take it back now. Not that you would even want to. You relished the final calm before the storm until Baxter stopped the car across the street from the soon-to-be Adam house. It's been a while, how are you? I'm good, how about you? I've been, uh, I've been busy working towards goals that I've set for the new year. Goal progression, I have now gotten 75% of the goals that I needed to complete within this month. So, progress. Yippee! It's already, what is it? It's the 30. January 30. No! I haven't done, I haven't completed one of the actual goals that I needed to do. What's your CRK user? I'm in pure vanilla server. Oh wait, why is it still up? That's not supposed to be up. That's not supposed to be up. I'm not playing Cookie Run. Unfortunately, my friends list is full, so I need to weed out the inactive users so I can accept more friends. There we go. Yes, I've hidden it now. Wow! Where's my clock? Let me put it back here so I can get some timestamps. There we go. I was wondering about my mod is not pointing it out. Why did you not point it out, mod? Mod, why did you not point it out? My mod is incompetent. What do you mean you were wondering about that? You could have told me. I pointed it out before the mod. I was ordering my food. Yeah, okay, I guess. But also, you've been chatting a bit now. Okay, all right. Let's head. Let's go. Let's go back to. Let's go back to the game. Pure Vanilla is out now. He'll come back when I'm playing Cookie Run. But yeah, that was typical. Though this time he couldn't pull up on the driveway because there was already an occupant stationed there. Shockingly, a red sports car had been parked facing the road. Its spotless painted body gleaming in the ever-intensifying rays of the sun. The rental, you assumed. Baxter had come through yet again. Yes, they're going to be pulling up to the wedding in a sparkly red sports car. That's so cool. It was almost exactly the same shade red as the controller cake tucked safely away on the back seat. You'd bet good money that the motorhead, wouldn't be the only one thrilled to ride in it. Thinking of, you had bid a tender farewell to your confectionery creation. The next time you saw it would be when it greeted two men whose wishes brought it into existence. Well, yours and Baxter's hard work was what actually made it happen. Still, Jude and Scott would love the cake as much as you. Wow, so stylish. Red sports car going to the wedding. Yeah! You could let it go to the place it belonged. Walking past the vehicle on the way to the front door, you and Baxter paused to admire the sleek profile and elegant curves. The Corvette, the Corvette, was it? Is it pronounced? I keep forgetting how to pronounce it. The Corvette somehow looked better up close. The gloss of the paint was reflective. In the entryway, Baxter rapped on the door with a knuckle. You'd notice that he did this in spite of the fact that there was a doorbell. Maybe just another one of his inexplicable mannerisms. I'm going to leave the stream, be right back. Alright, Keeper. After a brief pause, there were footsteps inside, and then Scott was standing on the open doorway. In the open doorway, he greeted you enthusiastically, full of restive energy. Hey, welcome back! Oh, and Baxter too. Good morning. Being confronted by the groom you were in the process of keeping a secret from caught you off guard. It would have been prudent to go over the plan for this on the ride over. Baxter, however, had no problem acting fine under pressure. Good morning to you, Scott. How are you feeling today? Excited? Nervous? Maybe both? No, yeah, definitely both. I thought I'd never sleep, and there was more commotion in the hallway. Jude came jogging up behind to greet you over Scott's shoulder. Hey, you made it. How was your night with Terry and Randy, Mori? His demeanor was cool and calm, exuding total confidence despite the nonsensical question. You quickly surmised that sleeping over at your friend's place must be a cover story. You hastened to school your expression, not wanting to give the game away. Oh, yeah, it was great fun. We were up all night swapping embarrassing sibling stories. I'll never be able to look at you the same way, Jude. You relished the brief flash of panic that crossed Jude's face before he remembered it was a work of fiction. Since you'd put yourself out for him, you reasoned there was no harm in a little teasing. Fortunately, Scott was the least bit suspicious, his mind obviously preoccupied on more matrimonial topics. You could practically see the daydream bubble of Scott skipping down the aisle. He's so excited to get married. I wanted to stop by, briefly, to see how you were both feeling before this afternoon. And happened to bump into Mori on the driveway. Well rested, Jude? Yep, I'm good. Somehow managed to get Scott to go to bed, too. That's true. Jude knows the art of relaxation. Of course, it's wonderful there's nothing to worry about on that front. Everything is running smoothly with regards to the preparations. Here, Baxter gave Jude a meaningful look, who cracked into a small grin behind Scott's back. Message received. The cake is done. The cake is made. So, you can focus on getting yourselves ready for your moment without concern. Although, if anything comes up, please don't hesitate to give me a call. You stifled a giggle through the exchange in spite of yourself. Seeing Baxter suavely passing veiled messages when he'd been such a frantic mess half an hour before was too funny. Honestly, the fact that he was able to pull such an abrupt about-face to let his own stress fade into the background in service of pure professionalism was kind of hot? Okay, this is a choice we did not make. This is the narrator making us feel things we aren't feeling. It is pretty impressive to be able to switch gears that easily. I don't think I'd be capable of that level of gear switching when I'm like really panicked, frantic, nervous, and then I have to face customer service style deal with clients like, hi, everything is going great. No, it's not. I'm panicking. You don't understand. Like, I have to reassure them, everything is going smoothly. You don't need to worry about anything. And then behind the back, no, the chocolate fountain isn't working. The lights are malfunctioning. The projector is fried. Oh my god, everything's going to shit. No, it's all fine. Don't worry, we'll get it fixed. No, you'll have so much fun at your wedding. Don't worry about it. I am not that kind of person. Gear switch. I can't gear switch that easily. And just like that, you weren't in danger of laughing anymore. Baxter cleared his throat, glancing at his phone. I best get to the venue, since everything is in hand here. Terry and Miranda have already arrived there. Clip that, Jarvis. Wait, the mod should be the one clipping it. No, no. Right, don't let us keep you, and thanks, Baxter, for everything. We really appreciate what you've done for us. Jude made as though to offer his agreement, but Baxter smiled and raised a hand to stem the flow of gratitude. You're you are too kind. However, as it stands, my job is only half finished. I'll be happy. I'll only. I'll be only too happy to accept your words once the wedding is over. To do so now would be premature. Sorry, I'm going to skip the stream today because I'm going somewhere. All right, Kiefer. Goodbye, chat. See you next stream. All right, Kiefer. Thank you for dropping by and hanging out. Good luck with wherever you're going. Have fun. If it's not fun, survive. Sure, dude, but thanks anyway. Jude met your case as he said it. It included you in the sentiment. You silently hoped that your baking lived up to his rising hopes. Baxter nodded and turned to leave, before doubling back to catch you briefly by the elbow. He caught our arm. He caught our arm. He caught the elbow. He touched the elbow. I'll see you later, Mori. Terry should come by to pick you up once you've had an opportunity to get changed. I'll see you later, B-Man. Oh, we call him B-Man. Baxter smiled warmly and gave your arm a nearly imperceptible squeeze before letting go. I know what you are. Baxter Ward, I know what you are. His goodbyes said, Baxter wasted no time. He strolled briskly down the driveway and got into his car, sparing you a wave as he drove away. Aw! Behind you, Scott cleared his throat. Come in, Mori. Jude and I were starting to get ready ourselves. Do whatever you've got to do. Oh, and there's finally a key for you. It's on the kitchen counter. Yeah, we remember that one a little late. Of course. Of course. They certainly had, but you couldn't pretend as if you asked for it. Or that you were mad that you got more time with Baxter. Alright. Hold on, let me take a drink. It has begun, chat. It has begun. Whenever I talk too much, I get nasally and I have trouble speaking, reading out stuff. So I'll be taking it a little more gradually when reading out. I do hope to complete the rest of this within this stream and then the next as well, because I don't want to drag this for too long. I also have to cover the other DLC for this game, the wedding DLC, where we get to marry one of the romance one of the romanceable characters, Cove Holden. I'm trying to space out the time. I need to actually figure out a schedule for these games. But yeah, okay. Hold on. One more drink. Okay. So much content. Yeah, it is. Let me check again. I have a total of 250 hours on this game now. I currently have 258 hours in this game, and it's gonna keep adding up as I continue playing it. That's fine. I really like this game. So I'm glad I get to share it with you guys. Now I have some pants to iron. You're ironing right before the wedding? What the hell? You didn't prepare that like a day before? Come on, man. He vanished into the house, a spring in his step. As you were crossing the threshold, Jude mumbled to you under his breath. Hey, help yourself to the food in the kitchen. Not sure if you had to pass on breakfast this morning or... He spoke guiltily, but you brushed it aside. You'd lost out on some sleep, but the look on Scott's face would be worth it. It's okay. Thanks, Jude. You were left to your own devices for the remainder of the morning. Availing yourself to Jude's offer, you cobbled together a quick breakfast before heading upstairs and taking a well-earned shower. As a treat for working hard, you indulged in the hot water for a while. Ah, yes. Hot water shower. When will that ever happen to me? We took out our water heater from the shower like years ago. We are no longer able to enjoy hot water. it, it makes the power bill rise so much because we abuse the hot showers. But eventually, you returned to the other guest room that'd been loaned to you and hauled your suitcase onto the bed before fishing out your wedding attire. A cruel fate, yeah. Oh well, I could always just heat up some water in the kettle. You had a dress, a formal blouse, and a skirt, a formal button down shirt and pants, a full suit. Wedding attire was just more of your normal stuff. You had a formal blouse and pants, formal button down shirt, and a skirt. What do we get? What are we picking, chat? Pants, button down with pants, or blouse and pants? What kind of blouse? The fancy ones? I don't want a fancy blouse. Maybe? Sure. Button down. Button down? Kinda bland. Let's do a blouse and pants. It was a relief to see that the journey hadn't wrinkled anything too much. You weren't going to be turning heads for the wrong reasons. When you had your look finalized, there was little left to do other than wait for Cherry to come collect you. It felt funny to be loafing about the house dressed to the nines. Not like it was the first time you'd gotten up to that. Fortunately, you weren't left to your own devices much longer. Shortly before noon, a car honked and your phone alerted you of a text. It was Terry, thoroughly making you aware that he'd arrived. You sprang to your feet from the sofa you'd been lounging on, pausing in the hallway to give a quick goodbye to Scott and Jude, wherever they were, then dashed out to the front door. Alright, we're getting picked up and driven to the wedding venue. Terry's van was parked across the street, in the place Baxter's car had occupied before. You went around to the passenger side and popped the door open. Someone's looking fancy. Where are you going today? Over in the driver's seat, Terry was wearing a swanky-looking waistcoat and an enormous grin. He looked so eager that if you had He looked so eager that if you hadn't known better, you'd have guessed it was him getting married. You pulled your sweetest, most puppy dog-eyed expression, milking it for everything it was worth. I'm on my way to a wedding, but it's oh so far to walk in this heat. What's a poor, helpless personage to do? Terry laughed uproariously. Oscar-winning material right there. I can't really do a pleading face. Let me see if I have anything. Hold on, chat. No, wait, wrong one. Please, Please, kind sir, it is cold in the midsummer months. I am freezing. Oh, hold on, let me find it, let me find it. No, not this one. Not this one. What? Do I not have it? Oh, I don't have it. Oh well, I don't have it. Hello, Nebu! Welcome in! Hi! Now hurry up and get in already. The experts are waiting at the venue. You did as instructed, climbing into the cab and buckling yourself in. Terry rammed the van into gear and pulled off, wasting no time in heading back the way he came. As the car picked up speed, he drummed his hands on the steering wheel animatedly. Ah, it's finally here, the big one. I'm ready for it. I'm up for it too. You're gonna steal the show for sure. No, you do not steal the spotlight at a wedding. If you're a guest, you do not steal the spotlight. You're there to populate the wedding photos as supporters of the wedded couple. Okay? You are not stealing the show. Just try not to bawl too loudly during the vows, okay? What? Not you too. Miranda stuffed almost a whole box of tissues in her purse this morning, just in case. I'm not that bad. Okay, sure. There was that one time with the video on the three-legged kitten where I cried so hard I couldn't see and walked straight into a wall. But we don't talk about that. What do you mean? Besides, Cove's coming. How's anybody gonna talk about me when the master is right there? He'll have us treading water before anyone can say I do. No! Not the strays! Cove is catching strays! God damn, you leave him alone. That's true. No, not our MC too! It made sense his emotions were shown via tears most of all. Cove was a child of the sea. Cove was a child of the sea. Only fitting that his happiness would overflow in the form of salt water. You whiled away the journey in idle conversation, most of it wedding focused. The preparations were already well underway, but Terry was keen to stress that your assistance would be very welcome. The route brought you into the heart of the city. Both the wedding and the reception were to be held on an upper floor of one of the many skyscrapers that dominated the urban sprawl. Terry parked in a lot under the shadow of a high rise, and after an extended elevator ride, the doors opened. You stepped into a spacious room flooded with sunlight. That's floor to ceiling windows! Holy moly! Hi, user IR6IZ7YF4C. Hi, welcome in! You stepped into a spacious room flooded with sunlight. And here we are! Impressive, isn't it? They know how to pick a place. You couldn't help but agree. The wedding hall, which was basically an entire floor of the building, boasted floor to ceiling windows. The effect was dizzying. The whole city was at your feet. You weren't able to admire the view for long, however. The place was in a frenzy of preparation. No sooner had you arrived that you were being swept up in it. Baxter made a beeline for you the moment he heard the elevator doors open, his wedding planner persona firmly in place. Ah, excellent. It's good to see you both. Excuse the brevity, but as you can see, we're well underway with setting out the centerpieces already. You exchanged a brief nod of acknowledgement before he gestured for you and Terry to join Miranda, hard at work by a table at the far end of the hall. She was wearing a simple yet elegant pink dress. Her long hair flowed in rivulets of immaculately arranged curls. Carrie called out to her in greeting, and she turned and waved you over, beaming. Oh no, I'm having trouble reading out loud now. I'm getting nasally again. Face yourself, Mori. What does cookie mean? It's your watch streak. It's how many times you watched my streams. So every time you watch a stream, you get a cookie. It'll tell people how many streams you watched. There are some people here that have like 20 streams watched or 50 streams watched. Stuff like that. Really? Yeah. And along with that cookie, you also get candy stars. Enough to bonk and pat me. If you type exclamation point bonk and exclamation point pat, you can head pat me or hit me in the head. Where is my cookie? It's in the virtual space. I'm sorry, you don't have it. You can't hold it in your hand. I'm sorry. Posture check. Thank you for the posture check. Ow. Wanna get bonked. Hello, Kingdom Cookie. Welcome, welcome. We are not hold on. What's it called? We're not playing Cookie Run right now. We're playing Our Life, Beginnings and Always, the Baxter DLC. Just wanted to come on here before I go back to bed. Alright. Thanks for dropping by though. I hope you have some good sleep. Alright, I know some of you guys are like watching in the middle of the night. Please get some good rest, okay? Your OC is so cute. Thank you. Thank you. No bad words. I need to figure out a way to like have my chat overlay on screen, like censor curse words, just so it doesn't get embedded into my stream VOD. I need to learn programming. Time zones, yeah. Some of you guys are watching at 3 a.m., huh? But yeah, we are now doing the final preparations for the wedding of our friends. Not these friends though. They're going to be arriving in a red sports car. I'm watching at 7 a.m. Hey yo, early morning. Hope you had breakfast. Hope you've had breakfast. Oh, there's an ad break. But yeah, okay. To explain the commands, if you type in chat like hat, it'll usually, yeah, there you go. I get a head pad, and then if you type bonk right after, ow, I get bonked. There are also links that you can do. Hydrate is not one of them. But there's like exclamation point comic that links you to my webcomic that's going to be coming back by March. I will make it come back by March for sure. If if I don't manage to do that, I'm incompetent. Alright. Yeah, there. Go read it. Go read my webcomic. Clever Cafe. There are mean people and good people that do stuff either before the Twitch ads or after. What do you mean, Alan? Mean people and good people that do stuff before the Twitch ads or after? What does that mean? Buy merch. Buy merch. I mean, buy merch. I don't have merch. What do you mean? This mod, this mod is thinking ahead of himself. I don't have merch yet. I don't have Mori merch. I don't have Clover Cafe merch. Not yet. Anyway, get back into the game. Great, you're here. You look lovely, Mori. You made it back to Jude and Scott's without any problem, I guess? She huddled in closer and gave a furtive look around the room, as if her brother's fiancé might be in earshot by some freak accident. Baxter filled us in on your alibi. Thank you so much for making an extra cake. I know Jude was beating himself up over it. I know Jude was beating himself up over that. She pointed to a table a short distance away. An unassuming white platter and cover rested there. A gift from one groom to another, courtesy of Mori and Baxter's Bakery. No, don't call it that. Yeah, it looks pretty great. Scott's gonna love it for sure. I sure hope so. Both will. Now let's get to it. Terry let out a startled grunt as Miranda dumped a box of guest favors into his arms, before picking up another two of her own. Sorry, we don't have time to stand around. Mori, would you grab that last box over there? We need to take them too. And then a hectic afternoon of busy work ensued. Everyone had been saying it, but this was something you only ever truly understood while in the thick of it. There was so much to do. Tables to decorate, seating plans to consult, name cards to sort, rows of chairs to set out, garlands to hang, and ribbons to tie, and candles to place into candlesticks. Miranda's parents were sitting at one of the dining tables, dressed in a matching suit and dress, holding napkins like their lives depended on it. They'd clearly been practicing. It was funny. You thought, while unpacking the centerpieces, you see so many people whizzing about in formal clothing. You wondered if this was what butlers felt like all the time. At the eye of the storm was Baxter, coordinating the efforts with poise and expertise beyond his years. The tension only served to make him sharper, more focused, in his pursuit of perfection. Weddings are pretty nice, yeah, they are. I really like going to weddings because there's free food. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's free food at weddings, so please invite me to your wedding. If you want me to look nice, I will do my best to look nice. You could not ask me to plan a wedding though. I don't think I could handle that. There's so much pressure to weddings. Mori's only there for the food. No, and for the couple too. I'm really happy for you. Yeah, you're the ones paying for my food. So yeah, I'm happy. Congratulations. Congratulations on your marriage. Wow, this is an amazing venue. Wonderful reception. How amazing is your food? Ow! No! Oh wait, my game audio has been muted this whole time. I've been talking in silence this whole time. Oh my god. No way, no way. Ain't no way. I forgot there was game audio. Yeah. There's voice lines and BGM. There's not much, but there's still audio in this game. Alright. Baxter was at the eye of the storm. He was the common nexus to all your efforts, the axle around which the room revolved, faster and faster. You suppose this was just another kind of dance to him. It felt impossible to keep track of everything that was happening. You blinked and then Xavier was there, delivering their confectionery masterpiece in its grandeur. It joined the concealed groom's cake on the dessert table. You happened to catch a glimpse of Xavier sneaking a peek under the lid. It looked like they approved. Maybe. There was, surprise surprise, not a spare minute to stop and chat with them directly. They had a business to get back to, and you were also occupied. You were also otherwise occupied. So occupied, in fact, that several hours passed without you realizing it.
Huh?
That better be the last one. I'm never straightening another place setting for the rest of my life. Harry slumped into a chair, making a big show of looking short of breath. Miranda plopped herself down in the chair next to him, gave him a playful jab in the ribs with her elbow. Wish granted. There's not a lot of reasons you'd need to do that again. Aw, you could have let me milk the drama for a bit. Sorry again. Too late now, you've solved it. We should... Hey, you okay? Harry put a hand on Miranda's shoulder, concerned. She had begun massaging the back of her ankles, wincing a little.
It'll be okay.
I'm alright. It's these shoes. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to prepare the venue in this new pair, when I could have worn my regular sandals and swapped them out before the guests arrived. Sorry. At least there's not a lot of reasons you'd need to decorate a wedding in pumps again. Yeah, you solved it. Miranda startled at a loud clapping that rang through the hall. Baxter was standing at the far end, his hands together. The room quickly fell silent.
Bravo!
If I could have your attention, everyone? I can't speak! I'm having trouble speaking. If I could have your attention, everyone, I think I'm right in saying that we've now completed the necessary preparations for the main event. You performed an admirable job. From this point on, the wedding should proceed without any further difficulties. So I'd like to invite you to enjoy the special occasion starting now. You've earned it. With that said, I've received word from the receptionist that the guests have begun to congregate in the foyer downstairs. You only need to join them to wait for the grooms to make their arrival. Thank you. Yeah, it's time to start the wedding! You shared a look with Terry and Miranda before the three of you, with no small amount of effort, got on your feet. As you headed for the elevators, Baxter came alongside. The attention was off of him for the moment, and he'd eased into a more casual posture, with one hand in his pocket. Very suave, he addressed you each in turn. Terry, Miranda, Mori, good work, each of you.
Thank you.
In my capacity as an organizer, I wouldn't normally say this, but it's been a relief to be able to count on you today. This whole week, in fact. Don't say that. It was the least I could do for Jude, even in spite of his, lack of forethought. She sighed. I feel bad you weren't seeing my brother at his best all the time. I love him, but sometimes his head is completely up his own ass. Ah yes, the little sister berating her older brother. Truly typical sibling dynamic. Baxter's cool countenance gave way to a sudden snort, which he tried and failed to cover up with his hand. He'd never anticipated Miranda, of all people, to be the one to say such a thing. It was rare, but she knew how to choose her moments carefully. It was always a bit of a treat. Yes, cursing is usually reserved for the special occasions. If you want to put emphasis on something, it's usually the ideal time to curse. But don't curse all the time. It loses its impact if you constantly just curse all the time. Carrie gave a dramatic gasp of indignation and rounded on her with false admonishment.
Yeah.
Randy, you can't say ass at a wedding. Miranda only grinned up at her boyfriend, innocent as an angel. It's a good thing for both of us that the wedding hasn't started yet. There was no good trying to keep a straight face. Both you and Baxter exchanged helpless glances before joining in the laughter wholeheartedly. It had been a tiring few days. You were feeling it now more than ever, but you'd made it through with a little help from your friends, and no small amount of silliness. Baxter cleared his throat, regaining his composure to the best of his ability.
So,
That being said, we should get our butts downstairs. After you, Mori. You piled into the elevator and made the ride down to the lobby, prickling with anticipation as the floor number grew closer to 1. Hello, Druki! Hi! Welcome in! How have you been? I hope the week has been good to you. It's Friday. Almost the weekend. The weekend, actually. If you consider Friday as weekends. The double doors opened to bustling energy. A thronging host of guests were lingering about, chattering excitedly amongst themselves. Baxter gave a proper tip of his head and darted off into the crowd, ostensibly to take care of arrangements for when the couple arrived. The weekend's early cousin. Why would you downgrade Friday like that? God dang. Harry and Miranda followed not far behind. You stayed put while they went around to give welcomes. Unlike you, they knew a fair number of the people in attendance. Still, there was one ever-familiar face in the crowd. Yippee! We got Cove! He's also a guest at the wedding, towering impressively over almost everyone else. Yet standing awkwardly off to one side was a man with a gentle face and hair the color of sea glass. Cove Holden, you cupped your hands around your mouth to shout, "No! We are not to bring attention to ourselves. No. You carefully picked your way through the crowd. You were pleased to see them. But you couldn't forget where you were. This was a wedding and demanded your best behavior. Cove spotted you as you drew near. His face lit up with relief. Give him a hug, a big hug. Cove had many good qualities, but being premium hug material was definitely one of the better ones. He made a small sound before his arms wrapped around you instinctively. When you drew apart, Cove was regarding you with fondness. What's up? Hey Mori, missed you. His tenor was soft, full of sincerity. It tugged at your heartstrings to hear it in person again. Our best friend, our family, our brother in arms, Cove! I know it's only been not even a week, but it's okay. I missed you too. It was the kind of sensation you only truly recognized the instant you gave voice to it, but it was the truth. You'd been missing Cove all the way through this ordeal. At hearing his feelings echoed back at him, Cove positively beamed. You basked in the shared sentiment for a while, not really speaking, content to simply be together.
So,
how did it go with the preparation and stuff? With, Baxter, the wedding planning? There was a faint upward lilt to the way he said Baxter's name, kind of like he was unsure if he remembered it correctly, though of course that really wasn't the reason. Cove had found it just as hard as the rest of you to believe that your old acquaintance had reappeared. He was still not yet accustomed to including the name in his vocabulary. It's been good. The wedding's gonna be great, and Baxter is, well, Baxter. It's been, eventful, yeah. It's been a pretty amazing week. I don't even know where to begin. It's been good. I don't know if that's positive or negative, but it's been good. Stressful, but good. This party should be something special. Mori, I'm fujoing out with someone. Have a good stream. Alright, Dementia. Have fun fujoing out. Yes, this is... Neil! Wait a minute. Why didn't you tell me before? What do you mean you have an alt account and you called yourself Dementia? Oh my god, oh my god. Alright. Hold on, let me... Neil! You missed out on Baxter at the start of the stream. Unfortunately, you have to go. You have to watch the VOD. But yeah, okay. Neil, get back here. No, let him enjoy his fujoing. Cool, I figured you'd do an amazing job. Your reunion was cut short by a sudden shift in the surrounding ambience. The constant hubbub was rising in intensity, reaching a fever pitch. Something was happening. All around you, people were Oh, wait, I hit my mic. All around you, people were turning to face the entrance, craning their necks and peering around each other to get a better look. Through the glass doors, you made out a familiar splash of scarlet. There were several appreciative whispers from the congregation. A low whistle came from somewhere nearby, and you overheard a guest announce to his neighbor that the car was a Corvette. Baxter was at the head of the assembly, ready and waiting to throw open the doors. Hello, Neil. Welcome. Cookie, please. You got a cookie. 100 cookies! Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, hi, Neil. Hi. Hi. We're about to start the wedding. The grooms have arrived. There they are! Oh, they look really cool. Two men exited the stylish ride, dressed in even more fashionable suits. The grooms had arrived. You'd peeked at the photographs from their shopping spree, so you'd known what to expect. But there was always something different about seeing it in person. Very dapper, yeah. When Scott and Jude entered the building, the crowd parted. No! No! I meant parted, not farted. No! The crowd parted. No! My captions! The crowd parted. Forming a corridor to let them pass. They would be leading the way back up to the hall from there. Captions are unreliable. Don't listen to it. Don't read it. The crowd was shepherded into elevators in stages, heading back up top. Baxter stayed hard at work, directing the incoming traffic and ensuring that everyone promptly found a seat. You and Cove had arrived early and snagged a row of 4 somewhere near the front. Harry and Miranda appeared afterwards and took the 2 spares. Soon, the elevator doors closed for the last time and the final few stragglers eased into place. The betrothed were behind everyone, waiting patiently. All at once, like everyone could sense it, a hush fell over the crowd. Peering over your shoulder, you saw Baxter gave a curt nod to the officiant before fiddling with a miniature remote. From hidden speakers, you heard the opening bars of music you couldn't place, something measured yet upbeat, and every head in the room swiveled to watch Scott and Jude walk down the aisle. They were bound for an elegant archway that had been erected right beside one of the enormous windows. As they drew near to it, the afternoon sunshine haloed them with gold. Music fell silent. All was still, and I am having trouble talking now. The last 5 days of your lives had been a whirlwind, a long, stressful journey towards this singular moment. You gazed at the joyful faces of the two men in front of you and saw none of that. Here at last was the magic of the ritual. There were two figures, radiant, bathed in sunlight. They stood hand in hand with the whole world beneath them and had eyes only for each other. The ceremony itself was brief, with no unnecessary pomp and circumstance. I can't speak. What? Hydrate check. Oh. Surely my nose will not be itchy this stream. Surely it's not going to be itchy. I'm taking a quick, tiny break to rest my voice. Because my nose is I will do a bigger break later, after the ceremony. I should make like a little commercial break thing that'll play on screen when I'm like doing these kind of breaks. Vaughn, you're good at animating, right? Could you make a little commercial video for the stream? That would be a good project. I'll work with you on that. That could be our first project. I can help out figuring out the storyboards and stuff. The ceremony itself was brief, with no unnecessary pomp and circumstance, but suffused throughout with sweetness. I can't read. But suffused throughout with sweetness. Their officiant gave a welcome before proceeding with opening words on subjects of commitment, of family, and of love. The exchange of vows and rings immediately followed, promises to be there for one another in good times and in bad. Scott went first, reading his vows from a little card. Jude did his from memory, his voice trembling with emotion. He tried to focus on every word, but became a little distracted by her friends. 2 seats down from you, Miranda was wordlessly dealing out Kleenex to both Terry and Cove, who, on cue, had begun to weep. She then dabbed at her own face, teary-eyed herself. Thereafter came the candle-lighting ceremony. A moment of quiet intimacy save for the old sniffle. Yes. Yes. The crybabies are now weeping. On cue. The grooms each lit their own smaller tapers separately before igniting the large unity candle together. One by one you watched as their hopes for the day were realized. Baxter had been right. The the whole thing went off without so much as a hitch. Well, besides the people getting hitched, of course. It went so smoothly, in fact, that it was nearly over in no time at all. There was one final matter to take care of. With a broad smile and a booming voice, the officiant pronounced the marriage completed. Howdy, how goes the going? It's been going. Hi. I don't know how to really call you. Lumi? We'll just call you A. You may now. Oh. There wasn't any point in finishing. The crowd had erupted in cheers before they could get that far. Scott's restraint had held right up until the final moment, but being forced to wait any longer to kiss his husband was a bridge too far. He jumped the gun and Jude, but it wasn't like it mattered. The hall filled with the sound of laughter and a huge clattering went up as the whole congregation got noisily to their feet. They clapped. Yay! Happy wedding! Congratulations! Yay! The newly wedded Mr. and Mr. Adam turned to face the crowd of their family and friends. Eyes bright, heads held high, they stood and waved before linking arms and spreading back up the aisle. They shook hands and smiled with all and sundry, leading a growing procession over to the far end of the hall where the reception tables were laid out waiting. Lumi works, alright. Just like that, the ceremony was over and it was time to start the party. As the guests began to migrate, the staff hung back, already beginning to rearrange the space. I am having trouble pronouncing words now. Perhaps this is time for me to take a break. Let me just finish up the... Let's take a break before the party, alright? Chairs were being stacked and wheeled over to the reception area, ready for dinner.
Take care.
Go ahead and enjoy yourselves. I'll be taking care of things here. Alright. I'm going to take a break. And figure out my nose issue. Because I'm having my sinuses clogging up. So I'm not really pronouncing words properly. I'll take a break. You guys go get your snacks, your drinks, do your bio breaks, toilet breaks, whatever, and then we will be doing a party. Where is my break? Yeah, we're going to be on break. Take care, Mori. Yeah, you guys too. Take a break a little bit. Let me run. Oh. I can't run an ad? No way. Oh well. Be right back. Hello? Hello? Hi. Hi everyone. I'm back. Thank you for the head pats, Aline. Hopefully I wasn't gone that long. Every time I've heard streamers before, every time they go on a break, the viewership drops. Hopefully it wasn't too long of a break. I need to put up maybe like a video of Subway Surfers whenever I need to do one of these like speaking breaks. Would that be better? A video of Subway Surfers. You were gone for like 10 minutes? What? That was 10 minutes? I took care of some dishes while I was out. I put away some dishes while I was getting my water. Ow! I should get a video of Subway Surfers so you guys can have something to watch while I'm on break. Some people are too impatient. Good work. Thank you, Aline. Surely, people, the audience that I will cultivate will have patience with me. But yeah, okay. I think I have rested enough that I am able to continue reading. And it's time to party! Wow! Yippee! That might work on me, but come on, give chat some credibility. Maybe I'll just do like a spin-off. I draw myself running, playing Subway Surfers or Temple Run. Maybe even Cookie Run. Oh wait, no. The Cookie Run, Oven Break, and the Scrolling Mori. Oh! I could do that. I could do a looping video. Hold on. I need to. That is something we need to write down. Where's my notepad? An idea. Wow. Mori having ideas? Cookie Run style. Endless running. Waiting screen. It's not for the starting soon screen. It's not for the ending screen. It's specifically for whenever I need to go on break. Or maybe whenever I need like something to keep my audience's attention. Like those TikToks with Subway Surfers or ASMR videos. I'm putting that down too. Alright, we've got that down. I've written it down. A run cycle animation isn't too hard, so maybe I could pull it off. New project for the next quarter. Oh my god. Alright, time to party. Baxter is going to be busy with his wedding planning stuff, so he won't be able to join us. Baxter excused himself to assist with the preparation, disappearing into the crowd and leaving you, Miranda, Cove, and Terry to mingle with the other guests. No sooner had you lost sight of him that you spotted the men of the hour wading through the massive guests, hands clasped triumphantly between them. Their progress was rather slow. Everyone and their mom wanted a handshake. Eventually, they made it over to where your little group was standing. Oh, I still have my thing. Hold on. Where is it? There we go. Scott was bouncing on the balls of his feet, lighter than air. Jude was his usual grounded self, but you could tell he was ecstatic. He raised his hand in a casual wave. Yo! Hey guys! You turned to wave cheerily. You beamed at the pair of them. You tilted your head their way in acknowledgement. You threw your arms around them both. We smile. Her happiness was mirrored on Scott's face. He was smiling at everyone with all his teeth. Congrats on your marriage! No, that wasn't so bad, huh, Jude? You were too happy for them to talk right now. Oh, congrats on your marriage! Scott's radiant expression could have powered all of California for a year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mori. It's been hard to keep myself together. I'm just so... He scrunched up his face and squeezed his arm tight. Squeezed his arms in tight, as if to clamp down on the powerful, nameless emotion welling up inside him. You understood, even if he couldn't find the word for it. Jude, with one arm still entwined with Scott's, reached over with his free hand and tapped you on the shoulder. Hey, this wouldn't have been the same without you.
I appreciate this.
You can say that again. Thank you so much for your help, Mori. Take some time to relax and enjoy the reception, okay?
You earned it.
You earned it. Hey, it was worth it. Anything for a good party, right? I'm here for the party. I was only here for the party. Not for you guys. No. The pair of them grinned in unison before once more being swept up in a tide of well-wishers and distant relations. For an instant, you were left twiddling your thumbs along with the others. You took a moment to survey your surroundings for lack of anything better to do. In a far corner of the room, you spotted a conspicuous figure flitting about, a grim-faced lady holding a camera. She must have been the relative of Jude's who he'd mentioned was a photographer. Either that or really enthusiastic about taking pictures. You recognized her from Miranda's 19th birthday. This must have been a tradition for her. There was something rather comical about a solemn individual snapping photos of people who, pretty universally, sported smiles as big as their faces. Eventually, Scott and Jude had hugged, kissed, or shaken hands with a majority of their guests. Meanwhile, the staff were beginning to clear a large empty space in the middle of the room, easing the crowd to the walls to uncover the central floor. With cautious steps, Scott and Jude made their way onto the dance floor, two lone figures. Oh man, that break didn't do anything to my voice. I still feel my sinuses closing up, and I can't talk. Maybe I gotta lower my voice just so it doesn't use up the nasal stuff. This is the issue with me, like, constantly talking. I never get used to it. Even though I've been doing this stream for like every week now, every Friday, still not used to it. Somehow. Have I gotten weak? Have I got weak? Surely not. Surely not. Scott and Jude made their way onto the dance floor, two lone figures. They took their positions as the noise of the guests faded to silence. Does the nasal Vicks thing help with that? I don't know. I have never tried it yet. I know lozenges help with like throat stuff, but this is like a nose issue for me. Like my sinuses are closing up, so I can't really talk in my usual voice. Like I have a very squeaky, nasally, normal, regular voice. well, my regular speaking voice is kind of nasally squeaky, but thanks to my sinuses closing up, it's getting really hard to like speak. Thanks to that. So I'm trying to like lower my voice and like go into speaking lower and speaking from my chest instead of my like head voice. Maybe that'll help. It is working right now. I'm like doing it right now. Although it's still kind of squeaky, I'm sure. But I'm doing it. I'm lowering my voice to where I'm speaking from my chest now and not from my head. It is helping a lot more than what I've been doing earlier. You saw Jude lean in close to his husband, whispering something in his ear. Scott grinned, their eyes met, and the music played. It started off slow with a measured, even tempo. The couple began to move in unison, easing into the dance carefully, their toes testing the floor as one might the surface of a frozen pond. If it works, let's go with it, Lamau. Yes, alright. Anything to proceed with the stream. I still have an hour left, so... We can do it. We can do it. We can power through! I just can't be really squeaky like this all the time. Oh well. As the beat began to pick up, though, they quickly settled into a polished practice routine. To your left, Harry sucked in an impressed gasp. He wasn't the only one to give his approval. As the couple spun steadily around the space, there were encouraging whoops and smatterings of applause. You could hardly believe that those were the same people who, only a few days prior, would have sworn on their lives that this was an impossible feat. And now they were taking turns dipping each other to cheers, barely able to contain their joy. From across the room, you noticed Baxter watching with a gentle, heartfelt expression on his face. You detected a hint of satisfaction. He was unabashedly proud of his students. You thought his eyes flicked aside to meet yours, although that might have been a trick of the light. A settling sun, casting strange shadows. Either way, his features remained unaltered, tender. As the music came... Oh no, even in my lower voice! As the music came to a delicate finish, Scott and Jude maintained their final pose for a second or two before embracing, to more acclaim from the onlookers. Scott held Jude's hand. Scott held Jude's head in both hands, leaning in for a kiss. Extra cheering from Terry. Cove averted his eyes a little bashfully. He'd always been the type to get flustered over PDA. The lovebirds took their bows and were rushed off to take more photos. Now that the first dance was taken care of, the next order of business... The next order of business was arguably the most important. Food! Time for food! Okay, let me drink. Surely. Things are working well for my nose and my voice. Harry's voice was easily audible over the growing din of guests milling about once more. In an instant, he was gone, vanished in the direction of the appetizers. There was a green blur at the edge of your peripheral vision. You looked over to find Cove, or rather the empty spot he had been standing mere moments ago. Oh my god, those two. They went straight to the food. Nothing was more reliable than Cove's response to what Miranda had once dubbed the F-bomb. That boy must have hollow legs. Maybe that was what made him so buoyant. You exchanged amused glances with Randy before she shrugged and followed along behind the two boys. It was a party you had enjoyed what was on offer. Wanting to avoid the worst of the crowd, you went to find somewhere to sit. You wanted to scope out your seat for the main course. Now, grab an appetizer. Let's go. Food! 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 It was going to be a close call if you knew your friends. There had been a hungry look in Terry's eyes as he dashed past. You gravitated in the direction of the snack table, following along in the wake of your friends. Most of the other congregants were taking this opportunity for more socializing, with some handfuls breaking away to grab a morsel to munch on while they waited. It was easy to hook back up with your friends nearby. Though admittedly, that was never difficult even at the worst of times. You just had to walk in the direction of an elevated pair of blue eyes. Yes. Cove is indeed, in fact, the tallest person in the room right now. As soon as you had caught up to them, Cove was passing you a small delicacy of some description. Hey, Mori, you should really try this. It's good. Already? Alright, sure, thanks. You took whatever it was and popped it in your mouth, giving a thumbs up of appreciation. You'd been right. You immediately leant over the table and grabbed another. So good. The four of you hung around by the hors d'oeuvres for a while, swapping stories and reminiscing about the places you'd seen some of the other guests. Terry was, with some small degree of pride, recounting the names of Miranda's relatives as they flitted in and out of view. Many of them stopped by to say hello, which was sweet to watch. It was evident that many in Miranda's family already considered Terry to be one of their own, and it didn't escape your notice that Randy was on the receiving end of several No way! Not this again! Randy was on the receiving end of several meaningful looks. Okay, we got that. I did it. I managed to say it. Randy, for her part, was doing an exceptional job of pretending not to notice any of them. She could be very unflappable when the situation demanded. Hello, Neil. Hi. I can't read anymore. Oh man. Before you and your friends could totally wipe out the snack table, there was the tinkling sound of a bell being rung, which came from the direction of the dining area. This was the signal for everyone to take their places. For the main course, presumably. Hello, Fujo number 1. Hi, Fujo number 3. How are you? Your little group hurried on over, joining the mass of guests crowded around the table. Everyone's designated seats was marked with a name card written in flowing golden ink. You spotted yours quickly. You and your friends were near the head table. Once the momentary fuss of the seating arrangements was dispensed with, the meal followed along in very short order. I only know 2 Fujos. Wait, who's Fujo number 3? I called Nil Fujo number 3. Hello, Fujo number 3. Hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. I mean 2? I don't know. You decide. Riot? Alright. Okay. Throwing your husband like that? Alright. Okay. if it's gonna be like that, I guess. A small squadron of waitstaff began to set large plates in front of the guests, each laden with food, giving off a faint wisp of steam. Oh, fresh. Fresh food, fresh, hot food. If memory served, the options were chicken tahine. How do you pronounce that? Riot slander. The options were chicken, beef steak, vegetarian ravioli, or vegan risotto. In actuality, you had paid very little attention to the main course, your mind being elsewhere. The main was, naturally, a precursor to what Cove would have described as the most important course of all, dessert. On this occasion, you had to agree with him. You wolfed down your meal with a sense of growing excitement, hardly able to stop yourself from peering over to the tabletop every now and then. To the top table every now and then. The tiered wedding cake, Xavier's masterpiece, stood resplendent at one end of Jude and Scott's table, and next to it, hidden under an unassuming silver cloche, how would it be received? What would Scott think? In your anticipation, you were finding it hard to sit still. It didn't escape Cove's notice that something was up. Halfway through eating, there was a gentle nudge at your elbow. He was looking at you quizzically.
Are you okay?
Is everything okay? At weddings, what's your favorite dish? Because there are some staple wedding dishes in the weddings that I go to. Of course, the cake I really like, especially if it's really good custom-made cake. But what's a staple wedding food that you like eating when you go to weddings? We're talking about cake. Of course, that's a given. I love cake. But what about the main course stuff? I only ever eat, or I have a chance to eat cordon bleu during weddings. Usually that's the only time I get to eat that, because I don't know why we don't make it at home. Maybe it's too much work. But yeah, cordon bleu, and maybe it's usually some kind of fancy dish. I don't know what it's called. What? There was something really cheesy and creamy in the last one I went to. Cordon bleu. Yeah, I only ever get to eat that during weddings. Ow! Why? It kinda is tricky. Yeah, it isn't something you could easily make at home, I guess. So you have to let catering do that instead. Aside from cordon bleu, of course, I always default to the desserts, because that's what I look forward to in weddings, the desserts. The last wedding dessert that I recall eating was a panna cotta. It was a strawberry panna cotta, I think. It was really nice. Was it too sweet? And I like the strawberry in it. Super good. I found the menu I took a pic of last time. Ayo. Herb cream cheese stuffed chicken ballotine. Just freaking bop. Whoa, that's a that's a mouthful, but oh, that sounds good. That sounds so good. Man, somebody invite me to a wedding again, please. I want to eat some good food that I can't make myself at home. Please invite me to your wedding. I will be a guest, a wonderful guest that claps for you when you get hitched, and then line up at the food tables to get my food. Please, and get a slice of cake too. Somebody get married. We want to go eat good. Bon, you need to get married again. Come on, chop chop, chop chop. Get married again. Come on, come on. All right, back to the game. We have Cove here being concerned about us. I gotta get a job first. Hold on, wait. Yeah, get a job to pay for the wedding. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good. That's a good course of action. Yeah. Is everything okay? He was genuinely concerned, which was both very sweet and rather funny. He flashed him a quick smile and waved it away, not wanting to risk being overheard. During the ceremony and throughout the meal, Baxter had flitted from corner to corner of the room with the delicacy of a honeybee, his presence unassuming and unnoticed by all present except you. As the main course was being cleared, however, he tapped a fork against the side of a wine glass, the clear sound reverberating off the tiled floors and quieting the diners' discussion. Honored guests, I hope the food and drink has been to your satisfaction. There were some non-specific noises of concurrence from the various tables. He glanced at Terry, who was patting his stomach contentedly, then at Miranda, still nibbling away at a piece of bread.
Glad to hear it.
I'm glad to hear that. We've come to the part of the evening where the newlyweds will cut the traditional first slices of their wedding cake. Scott, Jude, if you'd like to. The sound of two chairs scraping against the floor drowned out the rest of what he said. Scott and Jude got to their feet and came around from behind the top table. The two men stood shoulder to shoulder in front of the tiered cake, a large steel knife clutched in Scott's right hand. Jude's left rested over the top, his wedding band winking in the candlelight. There was a momentary pause as the dour-faced photographer performed her solemn, at least to her, duty, and then, with relatively little actual ceremony, the first clean cuts were made. The couple apportioned a slice apiece, and as promised, there was no smushing of cake into anyone's face. I am having trouble speaking. A round of applause rippled around the tables as the first bites were taken, and then a bustling sound as people started getting up to form a queue. Scott was limbering up to carve slices for everybody when Jude tugged at his sleeve and stopped him with a word. He gestured to the silver cover, still hiding whatever was underneath. That's like a weird tradition, shoving cake into people's faces, to be honest. Yeah, it should be agreed upon beforehand. If you ever want to do it, you should check in with your partner to see if they're good with that. Because if you're going to smush cake into the face of a perfectly make-upped bride, no, you're going to be you're going to be asked to exit the premises even if you're the one getting married. You are not to ruin a beautiful bride's makeup. No. Unless it was agreed upon beforehand. Think of the food. Yeah. It's a waste of food. Kinda, yeah. You could always scrape it off your face. You could still eat it, I mean. But yeah, no one likes smushed cake. I would like my slice of cake whole, served whole, please. Not smushed and with makeup on it. But yeah, time to reveal the game controller cake that we made last night. Sensing that there was more to come, the guest piped down again. When Scott reached over and finally lifted the top to reveal the groom's cake in all its glory, there were several soft gasps. One of these was from Scott himself, whose face was blown wide with surprise and delight. He smiled open-mouthed, looking silently to his husband and back down to the controller cake. You felt a warm, fuzzy feeling spread throughout your body as Scott began to whisper rapidly in Jude's ear, likely interrogating him about what was going on and where the cake had come from. It was too far away for you to tell what was said, but you didn't need to be in earshot to know that Scott was floored. You sagged in your seat with relief, your long night's effort vindicated. News of the groom's cake spread like a wave through the room, people murmuring excitedly to one another, with some approving nods and expressions of admiration thrown in. At his husband's side, Jude was looking nowhere but at Scott's face, eyes filled with emotion. He wrapped an arm around Scott's waist and they leaned into each other in a sidelong embrace. Somehow, the way I'm speaking right now is very much being picked up properly by the captions. How is that possible? When I'm talking without this, debuff, the captions always mishear me. But now, when I'm debuffed and having trouble talking, it's listening to me perfectly. What? Operation Secret Cake is a success. Yeah! I'm glad! The captions gave Mercy Lamau. No! A fresh knife had been provided for the second cake, and Scott eagerly called the photographer back over to snap some fresh shots, both of the whole cake and then of them cutting it. This time, as the incision was made, Jude addressed the onlookers.
Seriously?
This is the last cake, I swear. Some laughter and then the room devolved into chatter as people began lining up in front of the top table for their dessert. You and your friends, being close by, got there early. The couple were handing out the slices to everyone on little side plates. Jude took care of the tiered cake while Scott was fawning over the bright red controller even as he cut into it. At the front of the line, you had the option of taking a slice from the chocolate vanilla tiered cake, the carrot cake of your own making, or to Cove's delight, a piece of both. Are we getting both? Are we taking both? Which one are we getting? Both, obviously. Which one we getting, chat? Three. Getting both. Both? Both. Both is good. Right, obviously. We're getting both. Having served Cove, the grooms both laughed to hear you also ask for 2 slices. What could you say? You wanted to have your cake and eat it twice. Cove grinned at you as you both returned to the table with a plate in each hand. 4 helpings between you.
Right.
Why make a hard choice when you don't have to, right? Goddamn. Oh. Right. When everyone was in their seats again, you had an unexpected visitor. Baxter had squeezed his way past the line for dessert and over to your table. His hand hovered at the back of your chair. Sup? Hi. Hey. Cove's greeting was stilted and awkward. There simply hadn't been time before for him to get used to Baxter's presence, and he was never quite used to it to begin with.
Hello.
It's been a while, Cove. Good evening, everyone. Are we enjoying ourselves? Your group exchanged glances among themselves, as if to decide who would go first. Ishnar? Cove swallowed his mouthful of cake and tried again.
It's nice.
It's been pretty nice, yeah. Miranda threw up her hands in mock exasperation. Her body language having become a lot more flamboyant ever since the wine she'd had with the main course. No, her limiters are off! Don't worry, Baxter. I think it's the best wedding I've ever been to. Harry nodded along as she spoke, tilting his chair up to its hind legs with his arm draped over the back of it. It's been amazing. You brought your A game today, B-Man. Baxter's eyes twinkled at the mention of his old moniker, and it looked like the professional here was suppressing a laugh to boot. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, she's drunk. I'm afraid that joke gets a C-, Mary. Hello, Mended! We are approaching the end of the wedding reception right now, and we are getting checked on by Baxter. Hello. Hey, no, but seriously, man, it's been a blast. That's what, 2 successful events you've organized? For Mary's family already? You should become the official party planner for the Eckerts.
Yeah.
That could work. At least I know who to come to when Terry and I, need help. Exactly. Wait a minute. Yeah, to the unaware, Miranda currently is planning to propose to Terry. She's going to ask her, no, wait. Whoa! Wait, Miranda is going to ask him, Terry, to marry her. The front legs of Terry's chair hit the floor with a thunk. As Miranda waited for her boyfriend's brain to catch up with the conversation, she reached for her glass and took another swig of wine. Oh, it's because the alcohol has stopped her from withholding information. Oh no! Terry looked like he was trying to solve an extremely difficult mental math problem, all power of language having evaporated. Miranda simply patted his leg, looking into his eyes and smiled sweetly. You let out a silent shout in your head, not wanting to interrupt whatever moment the two were now having. Yeah, thank you, Liquid Courage. Hello, I am unaware. Bon. Miranda hadn't proposed at her brother's wedding, but it was a heck of a hint. Wild! Drink responsibly, folks, yeah. Baxter put a finger thoughtfully to his lips, fighting to hide the way the corners of his mouth were curling upwards. Perhaps I could consider introducing a loyalty card system. I certainly appreciate a returning customer. Miranda had now laced her fingers together with Terry's, who was still unresponsive to external stimuli. Cove giggled and leaned in to speak quietly to you. I wasn't here for a week. What happened? A lot, Cove. You didn't get a chance to elaborate. Baxter, Mori, I was looking for you. I know what you did. Scott had a healthy flush to his face, his eyes bright and enthusiastic. It It didn't match the almost sinister choice of words. Jude appeared at his husband's right elbow. You made that cake?
Yep.
Yep, last night. Scott's eyebrows and voice rose in unison, his tone modulating a few octaves upwards in incredulousness.
What?
I can't speak anymore. My sinuses are closing up. Last night? You can't be serious. What were you thinking? You and Baxter nearly fell over each other, trying to assure Scott that it hadn't been too much trouble, that you'd volunteered your time, and besides, you were both old hands at baking by now. Out of the corner of your eye, you notice Cove paying attention, a look of comprehension dawning on his face. R.I.P. Mori's sinuses. It's closing up. It's making my voice nasally, and I can't speak right. The source of your earlier agitation had finally been revealed. With enough reassurance from the pair of you, Scott's concern was mollified enough for him to round his way back to thanking you again. It was a highlight of the day, honestly.
That's wonderful.
You're too kind, Scott. It's been more than worthwhile. As long as you're satisfied, I couldn't be happier. Anything for our special boys. Thanks. It was just perfect. The cake, the ceremony. His voice was getting strained with emotion, and he broke off in favor of taking Jude's hand again. We won't forget it. Right, Grant? A vigorous shake of the head from Grant. Cool, well... Here, Jude reached over and clapped a hand on Baxter's shoulder.
We owe you.
For real. You made this happen. Thank you. Thank you all. There was another round of "you're welcomes" and "don't mention it" before Baxter made his excuses and promptly vanished. Jude watched him leave, arms folded.
No clue.
I don't get that, dude. He's got a head for dealing with stuff. He handled me and Scott's issues. Why can't he do it for himself? Ah, yes. That is his issue. That is his issue. He can deal with stuff for others, but not for himself. You, Cove, Miranda, and Terry all swapped a series of silent, sidelong looks. For having only known Baxter a week, Jude's perception was uncannily accurate. What could you even say in rebuttal? Yo, hypocrisy gang, yeah. Jude didn't pay you any mind, nor did he retract his statement. He merely shrugged with one shoulder, the fingers in his hand splaying out in a universal, well, whatever kind of gesture. He is trying. You have no idea. At least he's better than he used to be. Problems or not, I still care about him. You sighed long and deep. You didn't respond. At least he's better than he used to be. If he was 5 years younger, he probably would have left the state to avoid me. Sounds about right. Jude gave his wedding reception a glance with new eyes. We should go. The real dancing started. He owes me a rematch. Scott tutted, cocking his hip. It's not gonna make any difference, Jude, but I'll humor you since it's your wedding day. It's your wedding day too. Those two had made a game, a competitive one at that, even out of dancing together. No one would get in the way of that. The couple joyfully made a break for the dance floor, hand in hand. After a second or so, Miranda wiped a few chocolate cake crumbs from around her mouth and got to her feet, holding out her hand to Terry. Oh.
So...
You know, we could dance too. Terry placed his palm on top of Miranda's and sprang out of his seat. Yes, let's show those clowns what 10 years of birthday parties looks like. What 10 years of birthday parties looks like. How about you, Cove? The pair of them turned their puppy dog eyes over to Cove, who was somehow still chewing. He shook his head and swallowed.
Don't worry about it.
I'm good. I'll stay here and watch if that's okay. Sure, Mori? Do we dance? Are we dancing? Or do we just sit with our bestie cove? Chat, what do we do? I give this moment of silence to you guys to decide, so I can like rest my throat and maybe clear up the sinuses and stop them from closing. Alright. This, I don't know how to, like, clear up my sinuses at all, except for resting. I will try. Yeah. Someone stole from my snack box again. Oh well. Alright. Count me in feels like more content. Would having something spicy help clear that? No. What the hell are your ideas, Bon? What the hell are those ideas? Oh my god. Count me in. We waved goodbye to Cove and ran off to the center of the space. A large number of Scott and Jude's friends and their relations were already there, shaking it enthusiastically. I'm not going to eat something spicy to clear up a sinus. It's like literally the walls of my nasal cavity is like closing on me. I don't know about having spicy, like clear that up. Maybe something like soup. I don't know. Why would I start making soup? I only have like 30 minutes left until my stream ends. You felt the sugar in your blood like a buzz, the music becoming a pulse that merged with the beat of your heart. It was much more intense and energetic than the groom's initial two-step had been. The ballroom had been swiftly left behind for what was essentially a miniature disco. Scott and Jude bounced their way over to the three of you. They laughed incredulously as Terry and Randy busted not merely one, but several moves, other dancers stopping to whistle and cheer them on. The full competition was soon forgotten about. While Terry and Miranda started doing slightly tipsy laps of the floor together, you stayed behind and hopped around with Scott and Jude. You couldn't help but spare a thought to whoever was organizing the music. As the final triumphant chorus of a pop-punk ballad blended into the opening bars of a hip-hop track. Are you sick, Mori? No, not really. This just happens to me whenever I'm like talking almost non-stop for an extended amount of time. I've been talking for like 2.5 hours now. I'm looking at OBS. It's been 2.5 hours of stream. And my nose is like closing up. That usually happens when I talk too much. I am not built for yapping for so long. Especially like for yapping for so much. I can yap, I think. I've trained myself to yap so much. But not that much. That's not even your usual length though? Really? Usually my stream lengths are like 3 hours, but that's because I can go on for that long because I don't constantly talk on stream. It's usually when I'm like reading visual novels that this happens. I'm not sick. I'm not. Don't worry. My nose is just complaining that I've been speaking so much within a 2-hour time frame. Whoever it was had obviously known their audience. You hadn't heard some of this music in years. Midway through, Randy and her brother-in-law doing an impromptu rendition of the Macarena, you glanced over to where Cole was sitting. Oh. He gave a cheerful little wave, perfectly content to stay where he was. In this glass palace on top of the world, the people celebrated the evening away. A few early stars, like curious children, began to poke their heads out. Time moved for you in strange increments, moments and colors running together like globs of paint. You counted the minutes by the measure of jazz chords and camera flashes and laughter. You remembered looking around for him at times, trying to catch a glimpse through the shifting mass of bodies, eyes peeled for that telltale mop of grayish black. But try as you did, Baxter Ward was visible only in short snatches. The back of his head over someone's shoulder, half a face turned to speak to a colleague, a pair of eyes reflected in a window. His presence was like a wisp of insubstantial smoke. Oh, I can't speak out loud for long points of time. His presence was like a wisp of insubstantial smoke. He had become a shadow, easily forgotten yet always there. Hours passed until you were standing in the lobby with the others to send the couple off. It was funny, you thought. For the days of effort you'd put in, it was all over so quickly. Yeah, that's the thing with parties. Scott and Jude were doing the rounds one last time, expressing their heartfelt appreciation for I can't speak. To people for coming. They hadn't stopped holding hands since the dance began. A few moments later, you were waving from the front steps as they got in the sparkling car and drove off. That splash of red sped away in an instant, carrying them to a new life together. Don't lose your voice, Morichi. It's not my voice that's the issue, it's my nose! I feel like it's clogged and it's messing up the way I speak. Like every time I speak, it's like my nose is clogged up and I can't say the words. The majority of the guests made themselves scarce shortly afterwards, heading down to the parking garage en masse or getting into taxis. Time to put on the glasses and point your finger up. Actually... actually... It's not my voice, it's my nose. I'm about to like figure out where to stop though. So like in a bit after like this part, we will be ending the stream. I guess you stay behind together with Scott and Jude's relations. The party portion of the party might have finished, but someone had to clean up afterwards. You leaned against the wall of the elevator on the way back up to the hall, half tired, half relieved. One good thing about the event being over was that you didn't have to worry about it anymore. The doors opened once again and you stepped out into the wedding hall. Cove, Miranda, and Terry were at the dining tables, busily stripping them down.
Hey!
Over here! You were beckoned to join them, and soon you were scooping up garbage and folding tablecloths in earnest. It was almost a cliche at this point, but you once again found yourself recalling a similar occasion years before. It was just like when you stayed behind to clear up after Miranda's birthday party. It had felt the same way then, the strange mix of emptiness and satisfaction. Casting your eyes around the room, you realized that wasn't the only common thread. Like before, there was one member of your ragtag group who wasn't present. Baxter was down on the opposite end of the room, still rushing to and fro between various groups of staff, keeping himself occupied. You decided not to get in his way, not while he was busy. The moment would come eventually. You were hoping to spend some time together. I can't speak anymore. My nose, it's hindering me. I'm not at my full potential. You needed to talk. Oh, hi, Perlita. Hi. Unfortunately, we're about to end after this. You still wanted a dance. Someone needed to thank him for his part in all of this. It would have made you sad to think he was being left out. We could invite him to a dance, I guess. You resigned yourself to waiting. The trouble was, it took a lot longer than you'd anticipated. Once all the trash had been cleared away, he started vacuuming the floors? How did he find that? And when you finished the decorations, he was in the middle of moving stacks of chairs over to the elevators. You passed close by as you were beginning to pack the wedding cakes. You called out to him, but all that got you was a perfunctory smile and a tilt of the head before he sped away again. Your heart sank as you turned back to what was left of the groom's cake, which you were slicing to pack into a storage container. You couldn't ignore Baxter, but the same clearly wasn't true for him. Okay, I think we can stop here. I'm having trouble even, speaking. Because of my nose. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't want to sound like a nerd. Okay. Okay, time to save. That's it for me. That's it for me. Let's take a break. Time to end stream. Thank you guys for joining in. Thanks for hanging out and saying hi. We'll be picking this back up next week, I think. Let me check the calendar. PM. Where is it anyway? Next week, maybe? I need to figure out what next week is. Yeah, perhaps next week we will be picking this up. But also, we will be continuing on with the Cookie Run Kingdom Beasties catch-up next week as well. I think on Wednesday. That and this continuation for Baxter. That will be next week. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. Bye bye. Drink ginger tea maybe? No, it needs to hit my nose. My throat is fine. It's my nose that's the problem. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Bye. Happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Bye guys. Bye.